Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back to Beardworks, episode 33. Got another big one this week. We got Godzilla vs. Kong and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Double feature. Scads, what's going on?
Hey man, how are you?
Yeah, good. Just, uni shit.
I know we've been a bit all over the place, like we said in the last episode too. It hasn't really gotten any easier, but in saying that, my work's slowing down now. Vintage is over, so I should be available to record some more episodes. And I know that with you, obviously, like we were just talking about it. Mother's Day's coming up next week, so it's a big day at the shop for you guys. So
Yeah.
maybe next week might be a bit of a struggle as well, but we're getting back to it, guys. So just hang on.
But yeah, this week, Godzilla vs. Kong. We'll start off with that.
Yep.
We've both seen it now. Both, a bit how you going on it. But yeah, Scads, you can go. You go first, your opinion.
All right. So obviously we have a mutual friend in Pap, who loved King of Monsters, like Godzilla 2, if you will, which was a good film, no doubt about it. But yeah, this is a big letdown. I have to admit, like I was sitting there watching it, and I'm like, what is happening? Like they've obviously got two main big characters, as in you got Kong and Godzilla, and it just I don't know how I feel. Obviously, they focus on Kong a lot more in this movie, but like Godzilla was just bits and pieces, and it was just all over the place. Like,
Why was Godzilla half the size that he
yeah,
was in the last movie?
I don't know. I'm just trying to piece together right now. Like, I'm trying to rethink it. I also have my thoughts leading into this, and the more I think about it, the more my head hurts because it's just not a great film. Like, it just feels
No.
like they've thrown it together, and they knew that they were thinking, oh, it's got Kong and Godzilla on the screen. We'll be fine. We'll make it work. And it just doesn't. Like, it doesn't feel like it's meant to be. I feel like it would have made more sense if they had the other kaijus or the other monsters or the other titans in this one compared to King of Monsters, if you know what I mean. Because then they could have had Godzilla and Kong taking on a bunch of them at once, or like just a couple. It just does. Yeah, I don't know.
It's just like, for example, how inconsistent it is. Godzilla and King of Monsters. How massive is he? He's like walking past skyscrapers and shit, and they're like just that.
Yeah,
He's just towering skyscrapers. In this one, him and Kong are both on one aircraft carrier fighting. Like, what is Godzilla like a lizard now? Like he's tiny.
yeah, they sort of screwed that up. I think. I mean, the size comparison didn't bother me too much, but I understand where you're coming from. Like the aircraft carrier scene was a bit interesting because I know they're massive, but like Kong and Godzilla are like, I swear they'd sink that ship, you know.
Oh,
But
dude, 100%.
um, but yeah, so there's obviously some scenes that were being consistent. I felt definitely, and then like I was saying just before, or just a couple seconds ago, that they needed to have a few more enemies. Like obviously, Kong fought a couple of those enemies in the inner world or whatever it's called, of like under the surface of the earth, which was I don't understand that this whole movie is just a bit of a mess for me. And I feel like they could just they whacked it together thinking, oh, everyone's just going to enjoy watching them fight. But even the fight scenes weren't even that good. Like in King of Monsters, I found that I thought that King of Monsters was a really well like written and directed movie. Like you had multiple battles of different Titans and Godzilla, and I thought the character arc of the actual humans was actually not too bad as well. In this, there's nothing really.
Even if
Like,
people don't like Godzilla King of Monsters, at least it was coherent and it had a story you could easily follow and understand. This was a shit show from the start.
yeah, no, I definitely agree. So let's talk about the fights. Obviously, we had that aircraft carrier fight where it was sort of like on Godzilla's turf, in the water, and yeah. So I just trying to piece it back together now. So it just wasn't a good fight scene.
Oh yeah, Godzilla jumps at him twice, takes him underwater, and then he just hides. It's all over. There you go.
Yeah, they pretend they're all dead. So, yeah, and then there's the biggest story is that there's a company that's creating Mecha Godzilla. Spoilers, guys, obviously. And so they're trying to capture this power source from the inside world to power this Mecha Godzilla. So like the neural link is like perfect and stuff like that.
Which makes no sense because no one's ever been to the center of the Earth yet, and they don't even know if it exists.
Or if it would work. And then they're using the severed head of King Ghidorah from the first film, from the second film, to use him as some kind of like piloting thing, which looks so stupid. Like
It's like the worst version of Pacific Rim you can ever imagine. It's literally that rat shit.
And so like the pilot's inside the skull with all this machinery hooked up to it. It just looks so
Oh, he's
stupid.
just got RGB tubes going into the back of his head.
And the thing is, he's a lead scientist. He's not even like a combat ready kind of guy. But I guess because I think he's Japanese. They're like, oh yeah, he would just make it work. Um, and so yeah, like he's the one that can control making Godzilla, and somehow a bunch of metal and like bolt nuts and bolts is stronger than you know
Yeah,
Godzilla and
what
Kong.
material is that made out of? Was that vibranium, adamantium?
It did
Like,
not bend or crush or it. Like they were hitting it directly and it wasn't doing anything. I was like, how strong is this thing? And then it's got like it's heat blast or the blast that the Godzilla the nuclear blast that Godzilla has, and that's apparently more powerful than Godzilla. I guess maybe the intensity. I have no idea, but obviously we could tell that it wasn't going to turn bad as soon as they injected that power source into it. It's sort of like King Ghidorah took over again and just like annihilated the boss of the company. That was kind of cool, and the pilot became a vegetable.
it's
But
it's just it's stupid as man. Let's just go to when they go to the center of the earth to get this power source or whatever. In your head, you think, oh, going to the center of the earth, it's going to be a lot of digging, a lot of tunneling through the multiple layers of the earth's crust, all the way through the magma, everything to get to the core. No, we're going to go like 15 meters into the ice, and then there's going to be an interstellar portal that teleports us to the middle.
yeah,
What is wrong
it's,
with them?
and they're skipping around and bouncing around and stuff, and they eventually get there and like, oh yeah, we're cool now, and then they get attacked by some kind of like titans or something like that, and then Kong destroys both of them, whatever.
And they're in like a $10 trillion spacecraft that goes through the middle of the earth, whatever, and they just drop Kong in the hole. He's got nothing, and he lives. So like,
Too bad they just like knocked him around. He got teleported elsewhere or just fell out of. I don't know. And then this is one thing that we were talking about as I was watching the film between Pap and Cow and myself was that have this expensive craft that can transport people through and like it's bouncing around stuff like that, and yet it still has like weapons and explosives on it. Like
yeah, I know it's.
I was like, I thought it was purely for transportation, but no, apparently it's like a combat ready thing as well. So I'm like, all this knocking around, it would be a shame just for one of the missiles
And
just
when
to
they
go
get
off.
to the center, it's in pristine, perfect condition after it's just been hammered.
Mm,
There are
yeah,
no scratches on it, and paint jobs still where it's like, oh, it's stupid.
the
Man.
like I can understand that this is meant to be more of a futuristic film, but like I just didn't like the kind of colors they created around the ships. Like it was just so hyper realistic, I guess. Hyper realistic, hyper futuristic. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that. But then they get betrayed, like the good humans get betrayed by the bad humans inside the inner world, whatever you want to call it.
Didn't see that coming, man.
Uh, and they're like, oh, okay, now we'll just like stir all this trouble up and we'll just escape. Yeah, no, okay. Everyone gets like crushed and bloody eaten alive and stuff like that. So obviously, the final showdown between Kong and Godzilla is in Hong Kong, I think it was.
Oh, just generic
Because
Asian-looking city.
Godzilla literally just like blasts a hole from the earth down into it. Does like I thought I thought it had to take a teleporter to get there.
Yeah, no
Like
shit.
you had to go through a portal, but yet Godzilla can shoot his nuclear blast through the crust of the earth and hit exactly where Kong was, like on the throne. I'm like,
But then when they go back through Godzilla's hole, it's a portal.
yeah, yeah. No, it was just a hole, wasn't it? They just took it was just literally a
No,
hole.
they still
Oh,
teleported through,
that's
and the
right.
gravity changed, and they flicked out.
Oh, I don't know.
But what about we're skipping? What about the shit podcast story arc that they had that like could have been removed from the movie completely?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Millie, whatever her name is from Stranger Things, like her story in the second film made a bit more sense. In this one, she's just thrown in there to show Godzilla's side of the story, and then there's another young girl that shows Kong's side of the story,
Oh
and it
yeah, the one
shows
that throws gang signs up to Kong and he understands them. No way,
yeah.
King Kong can do sign language. That's stupid.
Um, but yeah, I just don't understand. So obviously the big battle happens and Godzilla wins. Like they've said that Kong's heart stops and it's all over, done and dusted. But then all of a sudden, Mechagodzilla just comes busting through, and it's another showdown. So I want to unpack the Godzilla versus Kong fight, the second one. Obviously, it's a bit of a push and shove, and it gets there, feels full serious, and then Kong literally gets his chest stood on, and he's done.
How predictable was it though? You could soon as he like got his arm munted, I'm like, okay, he's gonna put his own arm back in. What did he do?
Yeah,
1 second later, done that. He gets like knocked out, gets like shock woken up. There we go. It's
yeah,
just the most predictable piece of shit I've ever
and
seen.
and then the final battle with Mechagodzilla is this, like
He
it's just
dies from a Windows update.
yeah, it's
Like
just you
blue
can't
screens
help.
and he's dead.
I just can't. Yeah, I just don't get it. I honestly don't understand their when they were putting this movie together, like the storyboarding and stuff like that. I just don't understand whether I thought this was a good idea. Like, I don't mind the Mecha Godzilla kind of thing, but it doesn't feel like a big baddie. You know what I mean? Like King Ghidorah
Like an
was
alien dragon.
like
Like
he was awesome, and I can understand that. Like the first two Godzilla films are good. Like they're not bad, they're not great, but they're good. King of Monsters is arguably the better film of all of these movies, and well, obviously, arguably, it's clearly the better one. And so that was such a good movie to finish on, like nuclear Godzilla. Okay, this is sick, and like the big baddie. Because I honestly thought that the severed head would eventually mean the return of King Ghidorah. You know what I mean? And I
it's
thought
like
that's what.
this is like 5 movies that the retarded executives had just mashed little bits from all these different movies into one, and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I just honestly thought that they would have used a different, like I said, Mechagodzilla is a big bad guy in the Godzilla storyline, but it's just a giant robot, and this is what people are probably gonna be pissed off with saying that is like, no, there's more to it and stuff like that. It's like, well, not really. There's in this world that they've built in of this Godzilla live action stuff. It's just a big giant robot, and he's literally fought an alien that can spawn lightning and
Take over the world, like
like so. That's why I kept thinking to myself, what could they have done differently in King of the Monsters? Like if I took it back now, in King of the Monsters, could you have done a different final battle? Like obviously King Ghidorah was the main reason, like he's the alpha male, all that kind of stuff. And Godzilla, they fought before, so why not have there are other bad guys, like big bad guys in the Godzilla universe other than Mechagodzilla and King Ghidorah. So why couldn't you have someone like Godzilla take on two or three of them at once, and that's how he becomes king of the monsters, and save and just have like little like tidbits of showing that King Ghidorah is awakening, and that's what you see in this one, Kong versus Godzilla. So all of a sudden you have this giant bad guy, and all the other titans have hidden away, and they're like, okay, Godzilla is going to take on King Ghidorah on his own, and then he gets beaten the first couple of times. They're like, we need someone to help him, and that's when Kong comes in. So maybe Kong and Godzilla both fight him one on one at one stage, and then team up for a battle at the end. Like,
it's just the franchise. Like Godzilla would have had a killer trilogy at the end of it if they didn't ruin this one, and this lets the
yeah,
whole trilogy down because it's just this. They're not making any more. They
no,
even got rid of the post-credit scene in the newest one because they didn't want to make any more.
it's poorly executed, unfortunately, because like Kong is a good character.
Well, we were Team Kong from day one, and then he just gets what happens here: teleporting and hanging out with little deaf chicks, and
Gets
oh
walloped.
yeah,
Yeah, nah. Unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be. I can't put my finger on it any more than that. It was just done and dusted now. I'm glad the hype's done because it had so much potential. But yeah, from watching from the very get go, I was just like, I'm not sure how I feel about this, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And then the final battle, I was like, I don't really care what happens here because we know they're gonna win. It's just
it
the
would
fight.
have been a better movie if it was 15 minutes long and it was just a highlight reel fights, and we didn't have to ruin it with all this shit story.
Yeah, I just keep thinking back to King of Monsters and how well that was directed and how well I think it was written, and like the wide shots like were so much better. Like in this one, they're not. There's nothing cool. There's no
It's not
epic
as
like
cinematic for sure.
nah. Like yeah, it's just. Anyways, so my final verdict is that it was a massive letdown, and it did a bit of disservice to Kong because like him doing like the adventure time traveling through bloody the portal and stuff like that. It was just it's just a lull part of the movie. It looked nice inside the world, but just wasn't for me, unfortunately. I think it's just a bit of big
They
letdown. And
should have saved the center of the earth for its own movie.
yeah, like when they like say like the world's coming, like there's an apocalypse happening, and like they need to send, and like Kong and Godzilla need to go through the portal to like defeat something that's in there that's destroying the earth from the inside out. Like
They've wasted a lot of good ideas because I believe Mecha Godzilla could have been a really good villain, really good enemy. They just rushed it and didn't do it properly. Because isn't there like in the comics or the old animations and stuff of Godzilla, like Mecha Godzilla's heaps cool,
yeah,
surely.
Yeah, no, there's iterations where he's awesome, and so yeah, they screwed it up. So, anyways, so what was your final score or verdict on
Oh, I don't know, 4 out of 10.
it? That's a fair call, I think. I'm not sure what Pat thought much about it. I was sitting there shaking my head most of the film. So
Because he loved Godzilla King of Monsters. He was going on about that for months. And this movie, he watched it and we never even really talked about it much because it's just, even he knows it's shit.
yeah. All right. Well, anyways, that ends our rant on what that shit show was. Let's talk about something that wasn't so much of a shit show, but probably was a bit more of a letdown as well, which was the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Obviously, we've already spoken about it on the podcast. I think the first 3 episodes. So I think it was only 6 episodes. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
So obviously the season's all wrapped up now. It's all come to a conclusion in. I don't know. It's really hard to explain. Let me know what your thoughts are, Nick, first before I say anything.
I think the second half of the season, the last three, were really good. First half, I felt like a bit of a time wasting. They talked about a lot of stuff that wasn't relevant.
Yeah.
But
No.
I just, the entire time, I was never threatened by the villain at all.
Yeah.
Like, we're coming off Thanos. He literally snapped half the universe to death. And this girl was crying about refugees, like 7 people punching on against like army soldiers on your bike. You're not doing shit.
Yeah. So, like, I do agree with you. It was a very slow build up, and then but it just didn't feel like a start, middle, and end, to like an arc. I can understand that in some aspects it was due to Sam's progression into, Cap. Um, but yeah, it's just very interesting because like I said, I don't think Marvel do very good villains like in general. I think they do okay villains, but they don't really execute it as well. Like Thanos was by far the best villain.
I
But
think their villains are good, but only when it's the big bads.
yeah,
These
they can't
side
do.
villains aren't as crazy.
Yeah, no, I just I keep thinking back to like one that people go, oh my god, Michael B. Jordan was amazing. Killmonger's villain wasn't that good, I don't think.
He
Um,
wasn't even that villainous. He only was like attacking one country. Like he's not a threat. Like he's not like Magneto showing up. He's not
yeah,
like Galactus showing up.
yeah, and so when it comes to the TV shows, obviously we've seen WandaVision now. WandaVision had a pretty good story.
WandaVision's a
Overall,
lot better than Falcon,
yeah,
easily.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's hard to compare. It's because like obviously WandaVision delves into so much more than just you know normal
It's written a lot better
po-
as well.
political stuff, I guess. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that too. And so obviously I liked Bucky and Sam's interaction, but I still feel like Sebastian Stan's Winter Soldier still didn't get enough. Like,
I feel like they nerfed him way too hard.
yeah, because he was like he one on one with Steve Rogers, and then like he's just like I feel like they were just he was always in the wrong place at the wrong time, so then he can never show off his full potential. If you know what I mean?
But even
Like,
in Infinity War, when him and Rocket were teaming up at the Battle of Wakanda, that was wicked. He was like grabbing Rocket, shooting one gun at one hand, like
yeah,
that was sick.
no, I think that we've seen the best. I don't think we're going to see much more. We're going to see the Winter Soldier around, but we won't see as in the Winter Soldier film, like Captain America: Winter Soldier. We won't ever see that level of like Winter Soldier ever again, because
Yeah.
he's just not that much of a focus anymore. He's just more of that. He's going to be that supporting character to Sam, because obviously the whole idea about this film was, they didn't want to have a black Captain America. Like America has never accepted that apparently, and so eventually at the very end, when you see Sam rock up in the new Falcon suit, which was the Captain America suit now, it's like, everyone was saying, Black Falcon this and all that kind of stuff. He goes, no, he's Captain America now.
Why is people in this show calling him the Black Falcon?
It
No
makes no
one's ever
sense.
called him that.
No, it doesn't make any sense because they're calling him the
That's
Falcon. He goes, ugh,
that's just putting like
it's driving something
that's
agenda.
just putting like the race card into this show when it doesn't need to be there. They're just creating false propaganda just to push the message of this show a bit further. But it
But we
feels
already,
forced
that's the thing, we already understand the message. Like, there was a whole episode on it with,
with
what's his
Isaiah.
name? Isaiah. Yeah, they're saying, like, he goes, oh, they didn't want me. They were just a test of me and I was in jail. So, like, they've already shown that they treated him wrong and they did the wrong thing when they had the opportunity to show, hey, America, we've got a new Captain America. So,
And it's not like Falcon's been Falcon for 10 years already and no one's called him Black Falcon until the last 5 minutes.
oh, that made no sense to me either. And so, but I do like the way that like Andrew Mackie portrayed like Sam now as more of a leader.
Yep.
Like just sort of talking everyone down and stuff like that. And so we'll go back to like the villain Carly. Like she just
Ugh.
she was just, I can understand her story arc and all that kind of stuff, but it's just really hard to accept because the Flag Smashers, I was never a fan of that kind of name. Like, what the fuck? Um, but overall, like, it just, she turned, like, she killed civilians, obviously, or killed those people in that hospital, whatever it was, back in a few episodes ago. And then John Walker obviously lost his, his teammate or his best mate to her, and so and then John Walker went crazy. Now John Walker's story arc was kind of cool.
I like John Walker, U.S. agent. He's a bit like the Punisher, so I think if we see him later on, he's going to be kicking off.
Yeah, I think they've actually done really well with bringing in a new super soldier, kind of like Steve Rogers kind of vibe, but the guy that has
The
done
dark
the good
side.
deeds as a human, but now has turned into the super soldier, and like it's just like it's messed with him. And I know the actual actor came out and said he wasn't a fan of the suit because he's like, oh, it's just black
Oh,
instead
but
of
that's like that.
that's
How many
comic book
times has
accurate.
Captain America's suit changed? Every movie's
Yeah.
different.
And so, like, he's like, oh, but I think John Walker can really be like. They've apparently someone said he's only going to be in the Shang-Chi movie or something like that, or um,
Oh, whatever he's in, I think because he's a good actor as well. He can play the psycho pretty well.
I think he's actually really good, and I liked how they teamed up at the end. I knew that was sort of what was going to happen. So for here to discount Captain America Shield, they got dented every time. But I do like the way that because you had a massive gripe about how they used how like a normal human could use the shield.
Yeah, it's
I
stupid. It doesn't make sense.
I think now with Sam it actually makes sense because you
No,
can actually no
don't
no
believe.
like he used the momentum of the suit to throw the shield. Like you've
Well,
seen
it's
that.
like a bodybuilder throwing like a 50-kilo dumbbell through a tree. It's never going to happen.
But it's made out of vibranium. It's not that heavy. Like that's the whole point of the shield is that it's actually lightweight but indestructible. But
But
like
it's
I'm trying to
still
say is that
no human's ever going to get to the capabilities of a super soldier. It's impossible.
but
In the comics, Iron Man tries to throw the shield and he can't do it properly.
but when you look at it though, like if you watch that your fight scenes, like Sam I can understand what you're trying to say when he's doing the hand to hand combat inside the building, but like when he's actually using the shield on the outside, he uses the momentum of the suit to actually launch the thing. Like when he
Yeah, but
launches
what
it, he uses
about
a
when he's
helicopter.
training and he's just wearing a singlet and he's throwing it and
Yeah.
it's ricocheting off trees and he's doing flips around it and like catching it and digging into stuff?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think
Doesn't
it
make
show
sense.
that little training montage shows that it's not just simple throw and catch. Like he shows him like dodging it and stuff like that. And he's only just catching it barely. So I understand what you mean, but I just don't think it's as far fetched when it comes to Marvel.
I think it's very far fetched and it shouldn't happen. I think John Walker, he can throw the shield now. He's got the serum. Thor would be able to throw it. Bucky would be able to throw it because they're all superhumans. Like, I don't think a normal human could do it.
I think when it comes to acrobatic stuff and how he can bounce it off things and it comes perfectly back to him, I think that's exclusively to Captain America. But it seems like a lot of other people can do it too. But what do you think of the Falcon? Oh, not the Falcon. Well, Captain America's new outfit now.
If they got rid of the shit around his neck and the back of his head, it'd be fine.
Yeah, I think that whole how it like sort of bleeds up from the neck to the eyes. I reckon if they didn't have that, but that is comic book accurate too. So
It is
people,
comic book accurate. I just don't think like a lot of comic book stuff doesn't look cool in reality. Like that's why
yeah,
they made Thanos look different than the comics because in the comics he's wearing just like blue spandex.
yeah. But yeah, no, I don't mind the new outfit. I think it's cool. And yeah, so it obviously this whole episode was about because it's so strange. You don't even get to see the suit in this last episode, and then you just see like they're getting attacked, and Sam's like, "I'm on my way," and then just rocks up, and he's wearing this new suit. And you're like, holy crap! Like there was no real. I don't know there was a grand entrance, but it wasn't as grand as I thought it would be, especially when he's like
I thought it
now,
was weird how Bucky got the Wakandans to make the suit for him.
yeah, like, and then
That
all of a
was
sudden
strange.
he just calls himself Captain America, which is fine because like that was the whole build up to this. But like, it seems like it's good to see that it's not so much a government thing that it's like a hero thing, if you know what I mean. Because like obviously the government brought in John Walker, and that didn't work out too well. But that's what I kept thinking to myself as like, well, you know, Sam has the right to take that mantle, and so does Bucky in a way. But Bucky has too much of a past, and he doesn't want to be put in that spotlight. I don't think.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no. So obviously that little final battle, like I like the helicopter chase scene. That was like really movie cinematic kind of wise. That was really
When he
cool.
tackles that dude through the helicopter door,
That was sick.
that dude's definitely dead.
Well, that guy survived because they said that he was in the water and the Houston and he was bloody. They've got him surrounded, but they need some help, and so he flew off. But yeah, then there's the fight scene when like Bucky catches up to Carly and he fights, and then John Walker rocks up too. But yeah, like it seems like John Walker's just like a perfect version of a soldier with the serum, and then there's Bucky that's just like not perfect anymore. Like
Yeah.
the Winter Soldier's like nerfed. It's like, oh come on.
But because John Walker's a bit psycho, the serum like changes your like mental,
Yeah,
like your mental health. So he's like a little bit. He's not like Steve Rogers, because Steve Rogers was like a perfect person of heart as well. That's
yeah,
why
yeah,
he was
yeah.
never psycho. John
And it's
Walker's a bit, how you going?
yeah, that you got to choose. You got to pick and choose who you give the serum to. Otherwise, it can transform them into what obviously we've seen. So yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's just very interesting. Final or finale, I should say. So overall, I felt like we didn't learn much else other than there's a new super soldier running around. Bucky is like coming to terms with what he's done in the past, and obviously Sam has now become Captain America. So now, and they've also now announced Captain America 4. So
Yeah.
which will be really cool to see what happens. Obviously, Bucky will be back in that one. They might bring back John Walker as well. Yeah, I don't know. I reckon I'm still keen for it because I think they do make good Captain America movies. So I'd love to see Civil War 2, but I don't think that will ever happen because
Iron Man said.
Iron Man's dead. So, but they could replace it maybe with Rhodey as War Machine. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not the same, but then you literally have to kill off Bruce Banner. Obviously, spoiler alert for people that haven't read Civil War 2. But now I think overall I like it because it's not wasting a movie to build it up to it. Which is the main thing some of these shows are doing now, is like not wasting a whole feature film to tell a side story, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm just googling now. I don't even know who, like when Sam Wilson was the Captain America, who his villains were he fought. I don't even know.
Well, that's the thing. Most of the time when this comes to like these kind of situations, is that they become a fill in. They fill in that character. So like Captain America, and then they're just the new Captain America in the big events. But
Yeah.
I know Sam has his own comic, so I understand what that means. But like, obviously, people aren't as invested unless it's like Steve Rogers. So they just have them as in they just fill in the big films. So it'll be interesting to see because obviously now with Chadwick passing away with Black Panther, it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be the leader of the new Avengers.
Yeah, because
Because
it's not going to be Thor. He's a bit of a renegade.
and so do you use Doctor Strange? I mean, but like he's not in touch with the Avengers, like as in like he's not at the Avengers base because he's got other jobs to do. So do they just have like their little insurgent groups as like Avengers? Like so maybe
It'll be Sam
Rhodey.
Wilson or Captain Marvel.
Yeah, well that's the thing. I think because like the thing is, but Captain Marvel's not always on Earth because she's got so many other like duties. So
Yeah.
does maybe Sam Wilson look after the Avengers, and then Doctor Strange has his just himself who rocks up, and then when it comes to the big battle, who's the big leader? Because I feel like
Hopefully
that's
we get new people. Hopefully we get Nova, or we get like Adam Warlock.
because I mean that's what they were looking at obviously with Black Panther. Like they think, oh, he can be the new leader. You know what I mean? I think that's what everyone was expecting. But obviously it wasn't the case. Obviously now, so
Blade, Mahershala Ali, Vampire Avengers.
I don't know. There's obviously we got a lot of things coming up shortly. So Black Widow's releasing soon, so we can see what that does. But I don't think that's going to give too much to the overall story due to the fact that she's dead. So
Yeah, I don't really know what even post credit scene it could have because
I mean, so
I don't know how it's going to be set up.
we've still got Spider-Man and we've still got Doctor Strange this year and Shang-Chi,
This
is
year?
it? So
Are they coming out this year?
yeah, end of the year.
Shit.
I'm pretty sure they are because I'm pretty sure it was meant to be Doctor Strange. No, it was meant to be Spider-Man then Doctor Strange, but I think it's Doctor Strange and Spider-Man now. So I think that's the whole idea, is that they thought they push Spider-Man back behind Doctor Strange, which would I think that's the. Oh, it might not be. It should be this year. I swear it should be. But if it's not, obviously it'll be next year. Because I think that's the whole idea, is that if the Doctor Strange is first, or if it is Spider-Man first, I don't know. They could bring in like the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's like storyline, which everybody wants, and I'm hoping to God they do. But yeah, we'll wait and see.
I hope Toby, they like weather him a bit, make him older, make him the mentor.
Yeah.
Because Tom Holland, he lost Iron Man. He needs like
Just a one
something.
story arc of like learning to become your own man, because like obviously that's what Far From Home was meant to do with Jake Gyllenhaal's character, but that's on its own. Anyways, so over the next few weeks, what we got coming up? So we've got a massive game coming up for you, and I guess me in general as well, which is Resi Village.
Yeah, and next Wednesday we got the Bad Batch as well.
Oh yes, May the 4th be with you. So I cannot wait for that. That's gonna be sick. Bad Batch, Resi. I'm playing Returnal at the moment, which I can touch on in the next episode.
Have you seen Mortal Kombat yet?
I have not. It's apparently not too bad. So
It's good. It's good.
yeah, I've obviously seen. I just sort of said to you earlier that I've seen the new Demon Slayer film, which was
Yeah.
the thing is like I won't spoil too much, but it just feels like because it's like written and drawn exactly the same as the episodes are. Like there's some nice flashy stuff, of course, but it just because it's like an actual arc and not an independent movie. Because like a lot of like the My Hero movies and Dragon Ball movies, they're their own independent story, and most of them aren't canon.
They're not relevant
Obviously,
to the actual.
they don't progress the plot at all in the main story, and obviously the Mugen Train or the Demon Slayer movie, it's actually an arc from the manga, but it just wasn't big enough to animate, like as in for a season. It would only be like maybe 6 or 7 episodes, not even that. And so that's why they created it into a film. So like it does feel like just like a bunch of mini episodes. Not that it feels like a bunch of episodes put together, but it feels like one long episode,
Yeah,
which in a way is good because it's like been consistent. The problem is that if you don't watch this film, the story when it picks up in the season 2 it will just pick up like there won't be much of a retelling. It would just be like probably like a few flashbacks. But yeah, obviously because it's a film, there's some parts that people rock up, and there's one person at the end that rocks up that doesn't make much sense. Like, why are you here? But it's to prepare the story for future manga, like when it gets animated. Like literally, the final battle is one of the cleanest battles I've seen in anime, and just so epic. The music in this film is on point. So yeah, massive ups to the UFO table for obviously they're the ones that do all the Fate stuff as well. So they've always got the touch when it comes to animations and money. So nah. Anyways, when you watch that, we'll dissect Demon Slayers in general because I think we only spoke like about it a little bit about the first few episodes. So we'll dissect Demon Slayer and the movie when you get a chance to watch it. So
yeah, dog.
anyways, any last words, Nick?
No, that's it. Deuces. Get keen for Resi.
Yeah, that's it. Take care, guys.